Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. Jay, before we jump into this video, you know what I like to do? I like to welcome those who are new to the channel. This is the Angry Man Podcast and Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. And for those of you who are regular patrons of the channel, make sure you smash that like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you are engaging with the content. And Jay, this is an interesting one, man. I keep finding myself thinking about this whole Jaron Ennis situation, and it feels like to me, Boots is starting to find himself in a precarious situation in regards to just the perception of who he is and what he is over the last few fights. Now, before Jaron Ennis was the biggest boogeyman at 147 pounds. Subsequent fights with Avanesian and Chukazian uh, kind of diminished how people saw him in terms of just necessarily being the boogeyman, right? But still, everybody knows that Jaron Ennis is a very formidable opponent. Then we had the whole, I would call it a fiasco with going back and forth between whether or not he was going to move to 54 or not. I think there were certain people that felt that, he was capping, he was pump faking. Came back down, fought Stanionis, was successful there. But then before that, had the whole situation with Brian Norman, where it came down to a few $100,000, and then ultimately it came out that he sacrificed a few $100,000 to make the Stanionis fight. So you had people making the argument in terms of why didn't he make that same sacrifice for Brian Norman Jr. so that fight could be made. I'm on record stating, Jay, that the business of boxing is what it is. It's going to always exist, and that can create situations where fights don't happen immediately. And it's not necessarily a situation where I believe any fighter is ducking another fighter. It's just the business of boxing. Now, recently, shout out to YSM. YSM had an interview with Boots, and Jay, I'm gonna have to lean on you a little bit with this one because I didn't hear the audio was bad when I was trying to listen to it, but it sounded like he was basically saying that there was an opportunity for he and Virgil Ortiz to fight maybe like 5 years or so ago, and now he's ready to basically shut these guys up when he moved to 154 pounds. And guess who got the opportunity to grab a hold of that? It was Robert Garcia, who said that is all bullsh, and that they could fight right now, right? Because you said that 5 years ago they could fight right now, so that would be right in this instance. Well, he revealed that Jaron Ennis was offered the Virgil Ortiz fight, and he said that he needed one or two fights before he took on Virgil, which would suggest then that you know maybe he doesn't want to smoke as much as he say he does. Listen, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that when I say not necessarily true, I'm talking about wanting to smoke. I'm saying that it's smart to take a couple of fights before you get into the ring with somebody like Virgil Ortiz first. You need to get acclimated to the weight. That's just common sense. So I have no issue with Boots making a common sense decision. That's what he should be doing. That's what his team is there for. That's what his dad is there for. That's what his promoter is there for. So I have no issue with it. But I think I think Boots I don't think Boots is as media savvy as he needs to be. And he'll improve as he continues to put himself out there more. But I get little messages all the time about Jaron Ennis and people thinking that he's a capper. Um, I don't think so. I think you're gonna see him in the biggest fights here soon, but he got to start making sure that he chooses his words carefully, um, because there's been one too many instances now where it seems like there's confusion, um, and things don't quite necessarily add up and make sense. Jay, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to come out and refute this, especially the fact that Robert said, "Oh, we can fight now," but in saying that Boots said that he needs two fights, not one. He said two fights. Was Robert said he was told by by people that know the
Higher
situation.
sources, yeah.
So I find that interesting for Boots to need two fights when he's going up one weight class. I was just looking at Virgil Ortiz. We know Virgil Ortiz had that is situation with Rabdo, that put him out where he couldn't fight. He was trying to make the fights with Stanionis several times, and that fell off because of Rabdo for him. So that was back in 2022, 2023. He didn't fight till last year. He fought Frederick Lawson and Thomas Delorme, and neither one were at 154. It was above 154. So you could tell Roger was trying to get back in shape. So he had two fights to get acclimated. Then he fought Sergey Borchov, and then he just fought Majumov. So he had a couple fights to get in there. The difference is Boots is not coming off a 2-year layoff or a 1-year layoff. He's just going straight up from having the best fight of his career. And when he dominates Stanionis, going up to it, he says he's a heavier. He says that the doctor said that he was only fighting 30-40% fighting at 147 because he was shrinking himself down to 147, so he'd be better at 154. So I don't know if it's true or not that he said he needed 2 fights before he could fight a Vergil Ortiz. To your point, it's always good to get acclimated to the weight, if you're moving up. But this is a 1 weight class, and Boots is supposedly already that dynamic of a talent. He's already supposed to already be handling people at that size anyway. So I don't think it'll be too much of a stretch for him to go to 154 because he's fighting someone that was just at 147 not too long ago, who's a peer of his. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he would necessarily need to acclimate since he's just going straight to 147 as 1 weight class, and he's a big dude. It's not like he's a small guy moving up like that. He's a naturally big guy moving to a more normal weight for him anyway. So if it is true, it'll be a stain on Boots. Sometimes, with all the stuff that comes out, I think we have to look somewhere right in the middle, especially like the politics of boxing. So I think it's a little bit of truth to it, a little bit of fabrication to it as well. I don't think either fighter is afraid of one another. I don't think that. So I mean, let's get that out of the way. I don't think Boots is afraid of any fight. I don't think Virgil's afraid of any fight. We know Virgil is coming off a hand injury. So Robert had just said earlier, late last week, that Virgil is going to be coming back in a couple of months. So in that interview, also Robert's talking about they could fight in September. So that's less than 3 months away. Virgil coming off a hand injury, Boots coming off the best fight of his career, Stanionis. That could be nice. I just saw something about Turkey talking about wanting to fight in November as well. So any of that can happen, but according to Robert Garcia, he was laughing in the interview, and he was saying that, hey, we might not, they probably meant September next year, talking about Boots side, because he wants 2 fights at 154 to get acclimated. So hopefully we don't have to wait that long to see these two dynamic fighters fight each other, but we'll see. The politics of boxing always gets in the way, and I really hope Boots side can come out and really refute this and say, nope, that's not what happened, and hey, let's just sign the contract. Virgil, you say you healthy to fight in September, October. I'm ready to fight right now. I'm ready to show everyone else. Let's just get the fight on. People have been waiting for this for 4 or 5 years now. So let's just get it on. This will be a great fight. And then Boots, on your side, you can shut a lot of people up, not only just because of what you did to Stanionis, but going straight to 154 and fight someone like Virgil Ortiz. That people said that you kind of ducked. People said you could have fought him early this year instead of fighting Stanionis. So you can go right there now if he's available, put it out there and get it on. Kill all the noise. Some people saying that you left 147 because of a storm in Norman. So I mean, go ahead and get this on with Ortiz, man. Get it out the way.
Tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to this. Do you believe that Jaron Ennis is capping, or do you believe that Robert Garcia and team are capping? Let us know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are